Hi, my name is Liv Pagel. I watched the movie Almost Famous for the first time for MND 305, and I watched it on Pluto TV. So Almost Famous came out in 2000. It was directed by Cameron Crowe, and it was set in the 70s. And it follows a teenage journalist named William as he goes on tour with the band and covers their rise to fame in Rolling Stone magazine. As he formed close relationships with the people he was covering, he balanced writing accurately and portraying them in the way that they would want, which goes into some of the reporting lessons that I learned in this movie. William had a hard time when he published everything that he saw the band doing, which wasn't the most flattering for their characters at the time. He stood by his work even though his friends didn't like some of it, which is a lesson that every journalist should follow. Another lesson is to maybe set some more boundaries with sources than William did. He became very caught up in the band and was very emotionally invested in them, and it made it difficult and painful for him to do his job as a journalist sometimes. And though those relationships were really great for writing the story, it was hard when he didn't set as many boundaries, and it was kind of painful for him. And the third reporting lesson I learned is to prioritize my safety when reporting. William was in some dangerous situations, especially as a teen, covering these stories, and even though it got him very good access to the information, and very good access to the band, it still wasn't the safest. And I think that student journalists could benefit a lot from watching this movie because it gives a very interesting look into what music journalism was like at the time. Even if some of it might be exaggerated for the movie, it still is very interesting. And William was very passionate and excited about music and the things that he was reporting on, and I think that's really cool and inspiring to see as a young journalist myself. And another thing for student journalists to take away from this movie is that the message to be very confident and stand up for yourself when reporting. William was very shy at first because he was very young and he wasn't sure about how qualified he was for the role that he was in. But as the movie progressed, he became more assertive, which I think is important for us young journalists to look at when we're starting our careers. And then overall, I would give this movie 10 out of 10 oranges. I really like the vibe, and it's a very cool and interesting story, even when you're not focused on the journalism lessons that can be learned. And I think it also gives a very good insight to the industry and also some warnings for what not to do, maybe. So yeah, thank you.